the heat wave, it was a lot worse than I was expecting. And I was only out for maybe 20 minutes tops, maybe 30, because I also stopped by Daiso. I'm not kidding you, I felt like I was gonna faint. So I don't know how people who are still going to the office, like, I really truly don't know how they're doing that. It couldn't be me. That's why I stay with my current company, even though I'm not 100% happy with everything. But the one thing, the one selling point that keeps me with them is the fully remote working conditions. So there's no like once or twice a week you have to be in the office type of BS that they try to spring on us, which I'm truly, truly thankful for. I have interviewed with other companies, I have had other places offer me like more money, but I turned them down, or I just let the opportunities pass because they would always have a clause of, well, it's partially remote, but you have to go into the office once a week. Or yeah, it's partially remote. You have to go in twice a week. And I'm like, I thought about it, okay? Because one of the offers was like well into the six figures, which is more than I make now. But when I really sought to feel into the experience of like having to force myself to go into the office, even if it was just once a week, the energetic shackles that represented to me, it was not acceptable to me, not for any kind of, I mean, the money was almost irrelevant by that point when I actually stopped to feel the experience in my body. And so I let those opportunities go and I don't regret anything. And that's something that I want you guys to start practicing too, is your body will know the answer. Your mind might not always be the most trustworthy because we're running on so many messed up programming, like programs and just things that have been brainwashed into us. Not necessarily all bad, but you know, you can't deny that there are certain ideals and ways of thinking about, for example, work and how you should be thankful and excited to climb the corporate ladder. And women should do that too, even though it's not in our biological nature to prioritize work and to prioritize professional achievement. This is what they've convinced the entire new generation of people, especially women in the West. This is what they convinced that they should want above anything else. And so I myself, I'm still dealing with the aftermath of trying to deprogram myself, right? And I'm not saying, like, this is not to say that I want things to go back to the way they were, where women were not allowed to work or they were forced to stay home and take care of the household. No, that's not the point, right? But the point is that, like, the feminism, the first, second, and third waves, they were supposed to give us more choices, but the result is not that we have the choice. It's almost like we're being forced into the opposite direction now, and there's something considered wrong with you if you don't want to pursue this hyper masculine modern way of living as a woman, right? I don't agree with that part. I don't agree with forcing or shaming people into any type of living. I agree with people living in a way that aligns with their true biological nature and basically the way that they want to live, right? So if you want to be a housewife, then you should. If you want to be a career woman and prioritize that, then you should. But you have to be careful these days, right? Because all of us were told when we were little that we should prioritize and chase our careers and chase, you know, professional academic success overall. And so you have to do the work, do the inner work to uncouple what part of your desires are you and what part is the programming. I'm advanced enough in my self work, my inner work, that I know how to truly listen to the desires of my own heart and cut through the noise of like expectations that society or other people, well-meaning people, right, parents, teachers, that thought they were doing me a favor by teaching me to prioritize academic or professional success. But I've come to the point where I realize that you have to cut through a lot of that noise to truly arrive at what is the true desire in your heart. And so one of the foolproof ways for me to do this is to drop into my body. If I'm conflicted about a certain decision or I don't know which one would be the right one for me, like for example, if a job offer comes to me that offers me a lot more money, which obviously I want, who doesn't want more money so that they can have more financial freedom? But if that money comes with the stipulation that I have to go into an office, which is what I worked so hard to find a job and to create a lifestyle for me where I wouldn't have to do that, then is it really worth it, right? And so when difficult or complicated decisions like that come up for me, if I don't know immediately what the answer is, and if I know that I can't necessarily trust my logical brain 100%, because the logical brain is going to tell you, of course, take the job, take the deal. It's higher pay than what you're getting now. What's the big deal if you have to go in once a week? That's still better than going in 5 days a week, which is what you were doing years before, and that was making you unhappy. It's not the number of days a week, it's the fact that they require me to go into an office once a week. And my question is why? It's for control. They can dress it up any way they want to, that, oh, you know, we need to check in with the teams or blah blah blah. It's just good for morale, it's good for camaraderie. They can come up with whatever BS excuse they want. I know that it's bullshit. The underlying goal of that is to keep me in their clutches, okay? Is to keep some form of control over me that they're comfortable with. They're already not comfortable letting us work remotely now. This is why so many companies are trying to, like, insidiously, very softly, but I know what they're doing. This is why so many companies in Japan are really trying to push us back to the old model of people going back into work. Like, hey guys, COVID is over. You guys all got that vaccine that the government forced you to get, that we didn't even have time to extensively test, but we told you that you had to just trust us, that it was going to fix everything. And so, like the obedient little worker bee that we are, you know, many of us, myself included, we got the vaccine because, like, oh, well, you know, this is what you have to do to continue to work. This is what the company mandates. This is the paperwork that you need if you want to get on a plane ever again in your life. You need to really develop almost like a self GPS system, right? Or a self, I don't know, lie detecting, BS detecting system that you can trust, because you are the only one who knows what your true desires are and what is truly good for you. They have convinced you that you don't, because obviously they want you to listen to them so that you can take actions that would benefit their agenda. But the truth of the matter is, and this has always been a universal truth, not just for humans, but for every other animal in the animal kingdom, is that we know what is best for ourselves. We can feel it in our bodies. And so that is the exercise that I go to if I want a foolproof way of figuring out what is the right decision for me, is to just drop into my body, imagine myself physically going through the experience of whatever is presented to me, however tempting it may seem on the logical plane, however much it may make sense, like financially, whatever. When I ran through that scenario, when I truly imagined myself, okay, let's say that I take this job and I have to go in once a week on Mondays. So I would imagine myself, okay, waking up on Monday morning. I don't want to go anywhere, obviously. Like, I don't like wasting time, and I feel like all commute time is, like, it depends on the mode of transportation, right? Like, if it's a nice, cushy private car, obviously you can be very productive during that time. You can get your reading done. You're in the privacy of your own vehicle, so you can do whatever. But commute time on the train, to me, it's very uncomfortable because it's in public. It's usually very crowded. I live in Tokyo, keep in mind. So especially during rush hour, it's almost impossible to get a seat. It's very crowded. You're, like, pushed up against the back of, you know, a sweaty, not so great smelling, non-deodorant using salaryman, and it's just not a pleasant experience. You can try to read a book on your Kindle or whatever, but to me that invokes, like, more stress than necessary. It would defeat the purpose of me wanting to read a book in the first place. Yeah, so when I started to do that exercise of imagining myself going into the office on Mondays, like waking up, setting my alarm, you know, having to force myself to get out of bed and get dressed and go trek my ass down to the train station, I was like, hell no. Hell no. To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no. The six-figure salary, that did not even become a factor anymore.